The cell membrane is composed of phospholipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and cholesterol. Let's first talk about the structure of phospholipids. The head of the phospholipid is where the phosphate is. It is polar and hydrophilic. The two tails of the phospholipid have a saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. These two tails are hydrophobic and nonpolar. In a cell membrane, there are two planes of phospholipids. The heads of the phospholipids point outward, and the tails point inward. This is because the cell membrane is surrounded by water on both sides. The hydrophilic heads point towards the water, and the hydrophobic tails point away from the water. Now let's talk about the rest of the membrane. Cholesterol looks something like this. It regulates the fluidity of the cell membrane, meaning how flexible it is. The cell membrane's fluidity can be influenced by temperature. If it's too cold, the cell membrane can get too rigid, and if it's too warm, it'll get too flexible. Cholesterol in the cell membrane ensures these changes do not get too extreme. This is a glycolipid. It is a single carbohydrate that has attached itself to a phospholipid. These glycolipids help cells recognize one another. Similarly, a glycoprotein is a carbohydrate that has attached itself to a protein. These glycoproteins will help cells attach to each other so that they can form tissues. Speaking of proteins, there are three types of proteins in cell membranes. First, there are peripheral proteins. Peripheral proteins are attached to the surface of the cell membrane on either side. Then there's integral proteins. Integral proteins are embedded into the cell membrane either partially or fully. Next, there are transmembrane proteins. Transmembrane proteins go all the way through the cell membrane. There are two types of transmembrane proteins. The first type is a channel protein. These proteins will have a small channel in them. Channel proteins help larger molecules that cannot go through the cell membrane pass to the other side. The other type of transmembrane protein is a receptor protein. These do not have a channel in the middle. These proteins participate in cell signaling, which is a concept I'll be talking about in a future video. Peripheral proteins can also be receptor proteins. Finally, let's talk about the semi-permeability of cell membranes. Only very small and non-polar molecules can go through the cell membrane directly. This is because larger or polar molecules will take way too much energy to interact with the inner hydrophobic tails of the cell membrane. It is just more efficient for these proteins to use other tools such as channel proteins. There are some exceptions to this. For example, water, although being a polar molecule, can still go through the cell membrane directly sometimes. This is because it is just small enough to fit through the cell membrane without consuming too much energy. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you for listening to my explanation. If you like the way I explain these concepts, please subscribe to the channel. I will be posting more videos like this in the future. If you're confused by anything, ask a question in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. Or, if you're curious about another concept, I can answer questions about that too.